Welcome to Praetorian Legion's Boot Camp series of videos. In this video today we're going to be discussing modules, skills, and heat management beginning in the mech lab before you ever start onto the field of battle. So to begin with, let's go into the mech lab real quick. Let's go over to the warehouse tab, roll it out, and then you'll have a bunch of different tabs. We're going to click on modules. In the modules tab there's going to be three different types of modules. You're going to have consumables, which perform a series of different things. Your cool shots will cool your mech off for a certain amount of time and allow you to fire more shots before it overheats. It doesn't last very long, but it's very useful in the heat of battle. Your artillery strikes and air strikes will put damage downrange at your target reticle point. With the artillery strike, it'll do a flower blossom effect around the point of impact and drop a series of shells onto that and onto the enemy mechs that are in the region. With your improved airstrike, it'll do a straight shot from your reticle and where your mech is and draw a straight line out, and then it'll have a flyby where it drops damage straight running out from there. With your UAV, it will allow you to see well, the UAVs have a bunch of different effects, but it'll form line of sight on any mechs that it can see from its point of view within a certain range. The other thing is that it'll counteract all ECM of the enemy mechs in that range as well. So it's very, very useful for knowing where the enemy is, what they're doing, and acquiring target locks for LRM boats. That covers the consumable sections. The next one is mech modules. Mech modules have a lot of different ones that have different attributes. Target info gathering will allow you to gather information about your target 25% faster. That means that if you see a smoking piece, you can see what's smoking and why it's smoking and just how much armor it has, and will give you a little indicator faster of what's going on in the battlefield. Target decay will allow you to hold target locks longer when mechs leave line of sight. It's very useful for LRM boats or for tracking those pesky lights that like to duck behind cover and then come out from a different way. If you have this module on them, you'll have longer to know where they're at, and you can extrapolate a little better about where they're going to be. Next one is speed retention. This will benefit you if you lose your leg a lot and you want to hop around just a little bit quicker at it. It does have a speed cap at 50 kph, but it allows you to move at 30% faster movement speed when you have lost a leg. The next one is shock absorbance. It reduces damage that you take from falling off of things. Sensor range boosts your sensor range by 15%, allows you to detect mechs just a little bit further out. Seismic sensors are very useful. These allow you to detect enemy mechs. When you stop moving, you can pick up their footfalls if they're within a certain range. It's 180 meters. But as long as you're stationary in that range, you'll be able to see a little red blip about where the enemy is if they're moving their legs. If they're not moving their legs, it won't benefit you, but still a useful tool. Radar deprivation is very useful because when you move out of sight, an enemy loses target on you instantly. Bear in mind that target decay and radar deprivation will cancel each other out. So if you are an LRM boat with target decay and the guy you're fighting has radar deprivation, it'll just cancel each other out, so it's like neither one of you has the module equipped. But if you're against somebody that doesn't run target decay, they'll lose LRM lock on you instantly, which is very, very useful. Improved gyros reduce the amount of shake you get when you get hit by AC-20s or AC-10s. Hill climb allows you to go up hills faster by 10%. Capture accelerator, on the other hand, increases the rate that you capture bases by 15%. So if you have a light that's capping a point on one side of the map and you have a light on the other side, the one that has capture accelerator is going to capture faster. Artillery accuracy. It decreases the area of bombardment for your artillery strikes so that it's a tighter net that it's going to be hitting, more concentrated. Airstrike, same situation, just reduces that area by 20%. Advanced zoom is something that's very useful for scouting purposes or for sniping. It creates a little picture-in-picture magnification that's 4 times larger than. There are other systems that can be used to enhance that even further, but that picture is very useful for sniping. 3D target retention is very useful when you're fighting light mechs. It's one of those things that makes it easier for you to time when they're going to be coming around and where they're going to be at, and you don't have to regather the information on them that you've already gathered by having them in front of you. Going down, weapon modules typically come in two variants. They either have enhanced range or enhanced cooldown. The range buff will go up to 10% and give you a 10% increase on that, whereas the cooldown will give you a 12%. There's ones that enhance the narc projectile speed, which is just outside the normal. It increases the speed by 20% and duration by 30%. But those cover the basics of the modules. Now, moving onward and upward, we're going to go talk about skills. Now, skills are important because they can have a myriad of effects on your mech chassis. Let's go to the geners that I own so that we can pull this up on the skill tree. You have Cool Run, which increases your mech's heat dissipation by 7.5%. Kinetic Burst increases your acceleration by 7.5%. Your Twist X increases the maximum amount a battle mech can twist its upper torso by 2.5%. Very useful in light mechs that are trying to shoot back behind themselves because it gives you just that little bit extra. Heat Containment increases your maximum heat threshold before a battle mech shuts down by 10%. Hard Brake increases your battle mech deceleration by 7.5%. Your Twist Speed increases the speed at which a battle mech can twist its upper torso by 2.5%. Arm Reflex is 2.5% on which the speed at which you move your arms from side to side. It makes it easier to track lights. And then Anchor Turn increases the movement speed or turning speed of a battle mech by 2.5%. Now, in order to advance from this point, you have to unlock 3 different variants of the mech chassis. So if you notice, I have the Jenner 7K, the 7F, and the 7D. All 3 of them have had me put time into them to master them. But what this does for you is it opens up the next tier of abilities, so to speak. It opens up what we call Speed Tweak, which increases your top speed by 7.5%. Weapon Convergent Speed, which increases your pinpoint accuracy by 15%. This skill is actually not currently used in the game. The mechanics of the game was changed, but they haven't updated the skill tree in relation to it. Fast Fire increases weapon cooldown rate by 5%, and Quick Ignition startup and shutdown sequences sped up by 33%. The other advantage you get is when you get all 4 of these done, it doubles your efficiency multiplier on your basic skill set. So it means that right there on that Cool Run, your heat dissipation's increased by 15%, not 7.5. Your heat containment means that your total threshold's been increased by 20%, not 10%. Very useful tools, but the real gold here is the master slot. The master one. It increases an extra module slot that can be used either for weapon modules or mech modules. Very useful in different loadouts, especially when you start getting into the advanced tiers. That covers the basics of the modules. I'll be back later. Apologize for having to do a split there. My little girl needed some help with something, so real life is more important than the game. Standing rule in the Praetorian Legion. But welcome back. Let's pick up somewhat where we left off. We're going to be talking about a few heat management tips and tricks. First thing you need to remember is heat management begins in the garage. It starts before you ever go out onto the battlefield. And to demonstrate that, I'm actually going to be using a Banshee 3M. I think this one does the trick for what we need to teach. We're going to go and use the little tool that we showed you earlier by viewing it in the Mech Lab. And what we're going to do is if you go down to the Mech Stats tab in the lower right, you can open it up and look at the different stats it has there. But what I want you to look at is the Heat Management tab. This is the ratio between total heat dissipation and heat generated by firing all weapons simultaneously. The max efficiency ratio is 2. Sorry. But what this does for us is it lets us take a look and get a feel for what we can do to improve it. I mean, 1.03 is kind of low for heat management. The goal is to have it above 1.25. I feel most comfortable having it above 1.4 or even 1.5. But there's a couple things we can do to increase the efficiency of this chassis. One would be we can pick up Endosteel, which gives us 4.5 tons to play with, and Ferrofibrous, which gives us 1.6 tons to play with. And then we can just throw in a bunch more single heat sinks. Heat sink, heat sink, heat sink. Let's see, just let them out there. Sorry, I'm kind of slow and I don't intend to accelerate this because, yeah. But if you look, that increased our heat efficiency to 1.21. Well, not exactly the best we could do with heat efficiency. Well, the other option we have is we could replace the PPCs with a different type of weapon. For the exact same tonnage, we can replace PPCs with large pulse lasers, and that bumps our heat efficiency up to 1.27. But what I find does the best for increasing heat efficiency, if you really want to run the PPCs, the best thing to do for heat efficiency is to run double heat sinks. By running the double heat sinks and using the base tonnage that it came with, we were able to increase our heat efficiency to 1.28. Then we throw in the endostill, and it makes it even better, because right there with 94.5, we are now sitting at 1.4 heat efficiency. And then of course we trade out the large pulse lasers for the PPCs, and our heat efficiency is sitting at 1.47. See, just a few little changes or tweaks here and there can increase your heat efficiency exponentially and make your mech run much cooler. So, thank you for your time with these videos. I hope that this is beneficial to you on the battlefield. We will be covering more detailed builds of mech chassis in the upcoming videos. The Praetorian Legion thanks you for watching this video today.